I want to talk about electricity. Have you ever walked into an agency or a business or maybe just a shop as a customer and felt a certain spark? Felt like something interesting could happen here? Maybe a good idea or some great service? I think we've all had that experience, and let's face it, we've all had the opposite too, where you walk into somewhere or you work in somewhere in some cases and it sort of sucks the soul out of your body slightly, and you know that this isn't an exciting place, it's not a dynamic place, it's not a passionate place. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Culture is that kind of magic dust. Good culture, appropriate culture for the business is what drives that. So the stakes are pretty high, but I spend my life essentially on the consultancy side of what I do, sitting with the leaders and managers of agency businesses and other businesses, and just asking, how can we make this place perform better? How can we make it even better than it is now? Occasionally, I'm asked to come in a sort of more of a turnaround situation, and so the question is, how can we make this place work at all? I hasten to say none of those businesses are on this slide. Actually, what's really interesting about those two scenarios, whether you're doing kind of Olympic training with businesses, or you're trying to help them turn their business around, make it more profitable, raise their reputation, is the questions are quite similar. The only difference is the time frame you've got. But what I'd like to share with you this morning is what I've learned over that 20 years, especially around the soft side of business, the stuff that's often ignored. I like to think of it in terms of a kind of an overarching metaphor. Culture is the water in the goldfish bowl. It's because it's all around us. It's if you've been there long enough, certainly if you were a founder of that business, because it's so connected to you, it's kind of transparent. It's always been there, so it's quite difficult to see. It's just the way you think the world should be. And even if you've just worked in the business for a long time, the culture's quite difficult to see. So just identifying it in the first place is quite tough. Of course, it's unique to your organisation. Because it's so all-encompassing, it's quite difficult to change. Not impossible, otherwise that would probably be the kind of end of this discussion. You can influence it, you can change it, you can lead it. It's connected, of course, to your values, what your business believes in, and what you, if you're the founder, what you believe in. And then it's linked to behaviours. It's linked to the behaviours, and that's where we're really, really interested in today. How can we influence the culture to get those behaviours where we need them to be? These are some of the other responses you guys gave. There were lots of really good ones, and I've just picked out 3. I asked you, what do you see, what do you hear, what do you feel when you're in a high-performance agency culture? And so what was really interesting that came out for me, particularly involving that electricity idea I was talking about at the start, people talked about buzz, they talked about energy, they talked about kind of a static electricity in the air, that sparks could come off. They talked about paradoxes. It's informal and fun, but serious. And I think hopefully I'll return to that theme as we go through. It's something I've found out through working with lots of creative businesses. I think creative leadership is about the ability to resolve and hold tensions in your own mind. Because creative businesses are full of paradoxes, more than most businesses. I think that's the one thing that distinguishes them from all business. It's a place that engages you. You're happy to be there. You're happy to spend your life in this place. Even if it's hard work and sometimes a bit stressful, it's an engaging place. So we know what the culture is. We kind of know it, don't we, intuitively. So how do you make it? A wise man once said, and you probably heard this one, it's a bit of an old chestnut actually, strategy eats culture for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Edit that out later. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. I nearly made that the title of this presentation, then I realised it would be the culture eats strategy for breakfast, which might look like a misprint in front of a bunch of people who are keen on design. Okay, it's never one thing, of course. And I like culture as a way to get into that performance conversation, because it recognises a key factor of agency life, that emotion and people and talent development are an absolute central part of this, and it embraces that. And it also embraces what I call the yin and yang of creative businesses, these paradoxes. We have just had one, didn't we? Serious but fun, creative but commercial, emotional but analytical, playful but well structured. All of those things happen in an agency. How do we cope? It's completely schizophrenic.